Hello team, we've got a very special episode of Entrepreneur Conversations today. Today we're talking to Kelly Sinnott. She is the managing director of my wedding venue, Baddow Park House. We're going to find out what went into turning an old country house into a thriving wedding business. When I bought Baddow Park House, it was just a pile of bricks. And together, Kelly and I have built this business into one of the top wedding venues in the country. Here is how we did it. Kelly, thank you for coming to speak to us today. I mean, I'm dragging you away from what has been like one of our busiest weekends as well. What happened?
So we had an open day yesterday, and we invite our couples that have already booked, so they get to come back and see the house dressed and see an atmosphere with people there, see the flow of people, how a wedding might work.
And they look like very happy people because they were getting gifts from us, weren't they?
They were.
Tell us about that. What did we do?
So we were giving out panettones yesterday. So we like to give a gift out at Christmas. So we've traditionally given panettones for the last few years. So that was really nice yesterday that we can send them away over Christmas.
And we
gift.
do taste test that, don't we?
We have to, don't we? We have to do that. Don't want to be giving out any old rubbish, do you? So we do need to taste test, Yeah,
no, it was good. And what I noticed, I wasn't here yesterday, you guys were working very hard, but there was nearly all of the team in.
Yeah.
So everybody volunteered to come in, didn't they?
What was really lovely as well, we had the whole team there, but then actually when we'd finished the day, nobody rushed off to go home. We actually all stayed, had a chat. We were in the Oak Room, just, having a cup of tea before we left. And it was really lovely. I think the staff get so much out of that day. Yeah. And I think the couples get so much out of that day as well, because they're meeting all the staff beforehand. They know who the gardener is on their wedding day. They know who the housekeepers are. They're meeting everyone before they come in. That's
what you and I talk about a lot, don't we? We talk about the pastoral care that you can. There's lots of fancy piles of bricks that you can go along and get married at, but Baddow Park has this, and you and I have created that probably over the last six and a half years.
Yeah.
So we're running it now. I'm not running it. You're kind of taken over everything now from every job, every hat there was to throw at you. You've taken on. We'll go back because we're a roaring success and it's great. That's lovely. And we're going to talk more about that. But I think for listeners and viewers, let's go back to what actually happened, because it was a very different story, wasn't it, right at the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background has always been finance. I've worked in banking. I did a bit of work at wedding venues, but didn't really like their ethos, how they were doing business, so went back to banking.
Like what? What was the bit you didn't like then?
I think it was just a bit of, there's no care about the couples. It was just every day there was someone coming in and getting married, and it didn't really matter. But to these couples, it's the most special day in their life. They're saving forever. Their family are saving forever. Yeah. And yet we were a bit nonchalant, saying, okay, well, that one's done. Let's get on with the next one. And that didn't feel right to me. So I didn't really agree with that side of it. So reluctantly went back into banking. And then that was how I met you.
Because what happened was, I came across the estate that was for sale, and an agent had brought it to me quietly that the old lady didn't want a big noise about it. She wanted a quiet sale and to leave. And there was a big trading estate, like an industrial estate that used to be the big old mushroom growing factory, and the actual country estate with the big old pile of bricks. And the whole thing couldn't be split up. All I really wanted was the light industrial, but I had to buy everything. There was other houses on the site. There was lots of stuff to it. There was a big vineyard that was let out to another person. But the only way to get my hands on it was to buy everything. And I'd organised with somebody else that they were going to take on the house and use it as a wedding venue, because she had done weddings, hadn't she?
Yeah, so she used to do a few smaller weddings, sort of more marquee stuff on the lawns, and not
3, 4, or 5 a year. It wasn't. But the key was that she'd done it for over 10 years, so she was the building was licensed to do that. So I found this guy, he was going to do it, and on the day of exchange and completion, he was going to take the big old pile of bricks that was a bit crumbly, and we were going to take the rest of the estate with what we wanted was anyway, 2 weeks before all that happened, he turned up with a big long face and explained to us that his wife wasn't up for it and he couldn't go ahead with the deal. And that was a little bit of short notice, because to find another couple of £1 million in 14 days was a bit of a stretch. but we managed to do it. Christina then picked up his folder that he left behind. He disappeared with his tail between his legs, left behind. And she said, I'll make sure he gets that back. And in the meantime, Nosy Parker, she read it and had a look and found out that there were some quite big numbers in there. We then went and got qualified by a wedding consultant for venues, and that was Kelly Chandler from Kelly Chandler. And she thought the figures were quite conservative. So we didn't have a lot of choice, and we started looking at saying, well, these numbers are very good. Why don't we get into the wedding business? And that's kind of what happened. And we were setting up some companies, and we had to make all this happen very quickly. And how I came across meeting you was the only way we could get these accounts open quickly was to go to Metro Bank.
Yep.
And you were working there as one of the...
I was a business manager.
You were a business manager, yeah.
Yep. And I was actually out on lunch when you came in, and I got called back and said, you really need to come and see this customer because he needs to open up his bank account quickly. Right. So I was called back off for lunch to come and see you. I didn't know that. So Kelly got dragged into the conversation, and we were doing the thing. And in the thing was, what was the business called? One was called Baddow Park Industrial Estate Limited, and the other one was called Baddow Park Events Limited. And you looked over my shoulder, you said, events, what type of events? I said, well, it's like a wedding venue. And then the conversation went that you used to work in the industry, this, that and the other. Yeah. And I just off the back said, well, we're looking for some management. Why don't you come along for an interview? And you sort of said, oh, well, I don't know. We'll see about that. You know, I'm quite busy here at the bank. But as time went on, you did come along and meet me at my house. We had a long conversation, and we spoke really about what you wanted to do with the next sort of chapter of your life and what we could do. We'd met some other people. I was very taken with your experience in the banking world because the whole thing works on numbers. I mean, we look at numbers weekly, daily, don't we? The pair of us are obsessed by understanding forecasts going forward. What happened this time last year? What are sales? What, you know, that whole, you know, if you're entrepreneurial, you need to know your numbers. And I think that's where it really started. And then I sort of cajoled you and talked to you because you didn't want the job, did you? What happened there in your head? What was going on? Because I think I got burnt by working in weddings before. So I said, categorically, I'm not going back into weddings. And I think I'd said that to so many people that then I felt like I couldn't go back into weddings. But actually, the more we spoke about it, and then when I came to look at the venue, I thought, I can't let this opportunity go. I'm going to have to do this.
And were you having these conversations with Mark at home?
Yeah, as well? Everybody, mum and dad. I was talking to everybody about it. Really didn't know what to do, and I hadn't been at Metro Bank that long either. I think I'd only been there about 6 months, and it was a leap into the unknown. And at the time, I just finished treatment for breast cancer, so I was kind of in a safe place in the bank, knowing that I had all my sick pay and things like that, all the things that you
sorted.
But I was in a position where I was sitting in the banking hall every day. At 4:00, Paul Weller would play every single day, and I just thought, there's more to life than this. I can't sit here and do this for the rest of my life, listening to the same songs and doing the same things. I'm going to have to take the leap of faith and do it. And I think when I came to the venue and saw the potential of what could happen here as well, that was sort of the bit that sealed the deal.
I mean, we're trying and flash it up if we've got some pictures, Ollie, that you can put into the episode. But you and I were swanning around in hard hats, weren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, you were actually doing show rounds of couples with hard hats on, weren't you? On concrete slabs.
The first thing that I said to everybody that came in at the time was, what's your imagination like? Because you're going to have to use your imagination. And then eventually we got the plans up on the wall, didn't we? So we had something that they could refer to that way. And that helped. But it really was, it was a big...
We got an artist, didn't we?
We did,
to
an
do
illustration.
some sort of I mean, that's how behind the times it was then, because we didn't AI and all this. We actually got a guy to draw up what our vision was, didn't we? Yeah.
It was lovely though. It was really
good,
and quite accurate to what we ended up with as well. It does look lovely, and I think we took a big leap of faith what we're doing, but equally our couples at the beginning took a massive leap of faith.
They did, and they were very pleasantly surprised because we pushed hard. I mean, you came from the banking world, and all of a sudden you're sort of like choosing skirting board and looking at where sinks should go and stuff like that. But we did really work hard together, and we really made things happen in a very short period of time, because
Yeah.
we knew that this was all very well, but we also needed to get the thing ready for purpose, because these people, it was given us sort of 8 months was our lead time,
Yeah.
and it was top to toe, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's not just a case of we had to have it ready for the weddings, but also to sell it, really. It had to be ready for that. So that sort of stunted sales a bit to start with.
Yeah.
I remember having a mum, I don't know if you remember this, there was a mum that came in and she burst into tears and she said to her daughter, "What have you done?" Because it was a building site. She said, I can't see it. And then I remember her coming back when we'd finished and she's like, "Well, what a gamble that was. That was amazing."
Yeah.
You know, like she's really done well here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know about Baddow Park Mastermind. I have created a mastermind for high-level entrepreneurs. There's only 16 spaces and we've only got a few left. If you often find you're the biggest fish in the pond at other masterminds, click the link in the pod description, because this might be just for you. Now, back to the pod. And we did, and just for listeners and viewers, we did a big thing, because we looked at the market of why should we open this wedding venue and just be the same as everybody else, and we were trying to find these sort of blue oceans of difference, weren't we? That's what you and I had spoke about, and we were trying to find these sort of different ways of doing it, and we kind of got it really wrong, because we tried to do it as this all bundle inclusive thing, and we worked on that and it didn't really work, did it?
No, I think it was really difficult, because in Essex, the market is saturated with wedding venues. So if you're coming in, you've got to come in and do something different. If you're going to do what everyone else is doing, what's the point? And I think that had been the case. I'd have still been working for the bank now, probably. So the fact that you were looking to do something different was the bit that appealed to me. But finding that niche was really difficult to start with. And then also, that there's a time lag involved. So if you want to go and do something, these people aren't booking for, say, 12 to 18 months. So if you then change your mind, there's another time lag after that as well. So that bit was difficult to work out at the beginning.
It took us probably 3 years, didn't it, to get the price structure right?
Yeah.
And because we now do weddings, actual ceremonies on a Thursday and a Saturday, because people come the night before and they do a lazy leave, and that's what we do. I mean, most weeks are a Thursday and Saturday booked up. And now you brought a new product in that was ceremony only, that was been a banging success, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So ceremony only is designed for couples that want to get married, maybe just like an intimate ceremony, so not invite everybody. Perhaps it's not their thing, they don't want the big huzzah, but they want it in a lovely setting. So we've had a few intimate weddings like that. We've had couples that are going abroad, so want to do the legal bit somewhere a bit nicer than their local registry office. And then some people that they've gone and married abroad and then coming back.
But they're smart, aren't they, the people that take that option? Because they get a lot of bang for buck, don't they? I think it starts at, say, 1,500 for just the actual ceremony, and then you can add hours on after that. You can add a room on, you can add food, drink and everything out. Most of them end up quite considerably more than that, but they get all of the backdrop of the gardens and the estate and the house and and they get all the care and attention from us. We treat the ceremony only exactly the same as we would as a full wedding, don't we?
Yeah. And they'll still get that consultancy process that a Thursday or a Saturday wedding would get as well.
Tell our listeners and viewers about that, because that is a big part of and you sort of designed this, and you went and actually headhunted someone to run that department for you, didn't you?
Yeah. So with the consultancy process, a lot of wedding venues will see you sort of 6 months before your wedding. Well, by that point, a lot has happened. You've approached suppliers, all of that has passed already. So we flip that on its head, and actually within 4 to 6 weeks of booking, you come in and you see our consultant and you go through the running order for your day. And it just makes it so much easier for our couples, because if they need to share details with suppliers or source suppliers, they know what they're looking at from the outset, because from that meeting, and it's a long meeting, it's 2 to 3 hours, and our consultants will know, your Gran's name and what she likes.
That's right.
Does Granny like a cup of tea or does she want a Prosecco? That sort of detail. We go into so much detail that we've got everything on the running order, so that on the day, if the gardener needed to step in and run the wedding, they could run the wedding. So,
and we do use that as a thing that the whole team are involved, from estate workers that work on the estate to the Sam's gardening team. I mean, they all do meet and greet. They'll help with anything. I mean, I was watching the other day. We've got new chefs that are in for next year, Sam and Simon, and they have got an end of a sofa each, moving it from one room to another. I mean, that is teamwork, isn't it? I mean, they're not precious about where they are and where they sit on the order of my job role. And I think that has been down to your hard work with building the team and finding, we talk about fire fast, hire slow. It has been quite laborious to find the right team, isn't it? We've gone into a lot of effort of interviews and stuff like that. It's been hard work, isn't it?
It's really hard, and we've changed. So we've recently taken on a new consultant, and actually we just put the advert out on Instagram because we went to like a captive audience. We knew it was someone who would have an interest in the business already, and actually that worked for that role. Worked a lot better than maybe going on like Indeed and trawling through hundreds and hundreds of CVs. But it is hard. It's hard to get the right people, and our team is what makes the weddings. It really, the feedback that we get about our team is phenomenal. And even down to like yesterday with our open day, Jackie the gardener is doing viewings with couples because everybody is so clued up on how a wedding runs, what it should look like, that we will trust our gardener to go and do a private viewing. And
what you've put into the team and to the whole product is that there is this high standard. And we had a meeting about a month ago, and you and I were talking, looking at numbers, and we were saying, look, we're doing this 5-star service, but it's probably they're getting it at a 3-star price. And it is true, isn't it? And that's a bit difficult for us on the profit balance sheet to say that's the right thing to do. I think the most interesting thing is that I don't think this business would be here if it wasn't for the other businesses that I run. I think this is more of a legacy business for me. It is something that I'm very proud of, and I want to make happen as part of who James Martin is, that he can do this business of excellence. But that only comes with having a team that are able to carry out my vision, and my vision has changed so many times, and I love the way that you will pull me up on I go roaring away on this great idea, and you'll come in and say, look, I love what you say, and it's a great idea, but when we look at it commercially, and we'll reevaluate what that will be. And I think that's where your skill set is to actually look at it in a bigger picture to how will that look like in a year's time, that product, or how will that price point work? Will it push people away, or will it bring people nearer to us? And we've really wrestled with that, haven't we?
Yeah, and again, you've got that time lag. So any changes that you make now, you might not feel that for 12 to 18 months. So that's been something that you have to sort of...
Because we don't change prices. When you book at that price, that's the price, isn't it? Yeah.
And you have to kind of factor that in. So we've got a budget coming up. They're talking about maybe increasing VAT. So that's something we need to factor into, our weddings next year. Yeah. We've agreed a price already. We don't do plus VAT. The VAT is included in it because that's how domestic customers think. And we've worked with that. So that's a tricky thing to try and put into your planning. But we've made some tweaks, and looking at seasons and things like that. COVID completely, just everything was off the chart after that in terms of looking at where people are booking, what seasons they're booking. There was no data after that.
COVID was hard, Kelly, wasn't it? Yeah,
that skewed everything. It really did affect where people were booking. People weren't just looking for Saturdays at that point.
We had some, we were very good. We sort of walked towards the fire. I remember listening to you on the phone next to me, speaking directly to couples and bouncing them along, moving them along. I think we ended up giving 2 people their money back. Yeah. As little as that, everybody sort of came along with us, didn't they? They kind of understood.
Yeah, we were really fortunate at that time because our diary wasn't full because that was our sort of first year of trading. So we were able to move couples on to dates, and it worked. But you became really invested in their lives because people were sort of saying, well, we want to have children, and I'm this age, and so we really did get involved in that side of it.
We had some really sad things that we organised. That they were great things, but it was sad for us to watch, where you had limited amount of people that you could have there, and we cleared the whole place out, didn't we? We left the food on the table so they could get as many people in. I think, was it 30 or something?
You had the 6, then you had 15, then I think it went up to 30. Yeah.
But we literally gave them the house to do with what they wanted with no staff. So they had everybody there. And it was like, it might have been a sick dad that was just coming and he wasn't going to make to go to a new date further down the line. And we did 2 or 3 of those, and it broke your heart to watch it all going on. But it was like, you know, we look at COVID, it was like a dream now when you look back.
It doesn't feel real, does it?
It doesn't feel real. We messed around with bloody sanitisers and masks and stuff. We were trying to sell weddings with a happy face behind a mask. It was hard, wasn't it?
Well, I remember we were in the temporary office at the time, and it was when we were just going home for that initial 2 weeks, and Christina and I were in the office going, are you going to take the milk home? Are you going to do this? We're going to be back soon. What we're doing? See you in a couple of weeks. I don't think anybody sort of saw what that was going to spiral into. But I think with the way that, you know, we had to rebook our couples and stuff like, you know, all of that side of it, we were stuck true to our brand. We did the right thing for our couples. So whether or not it was the right thing for profit. So some of those couples that could have the very small weddings, we invited them back the next year so they could have a party. So they actually got to celebrate it as well. So I'd like to think that all of our couples would say that we really did do the right thing for them.
And if we're in, like, say, year 6 now, the thing that I'm very proud of is that when you look at our reviews and our book of comments and stuff like that, we are 5-star reviews, aren't we? Absolutely, 5-star. There is, you know, we might have had a shower that didn't work, or the hot water went down at a wedding, and that's kind of it, isn't it? It's
something like that that's circumstantial. You can kind of you can take that on the chin and say, okay, well, we can fix that next time. We know what's happening. But our staff, the feedback we get on our staff, like I said before, it is phenomenal. When you read what people say about our couples, and even, yesterday at the open day, couples were sitting down with me after their private viewing to go through looking at dates and different bits and pieces, and they were saying, by the way, I just need to tell you, your staff are amazing. Like I can genuinely tell they really enjoy their job, and I think it's that bit that it's that sincerity that they do all enjoy their job.
But that doesn't happen from just, we've picked some lucky staff. We are doing training now.
Yeah, it's the culture.
It is within our culture, and that training that we're doing now is we do shadowing before someone can go off and do a certain area, and that shadowing goes on and on. We're doing dress, so everybody's we pulled a load of people up about 4 months ago about uniform and stuff like that, and we bought some more uniform and stuff like that, and then we said, this is not acceptable. If you're in the house, even when there's not a wedding on, you have uniform on.
It's that training so that all of our staff are brand ambassadors at all time. If you're carrying the bag and you're going shopping, you're a brand ambassador at all time. If you're wearing the coat when you're in the supermarket, you're the brand ambassador. So it's been that training behind it. But I also think it's because everybody genuinely enjoys working here, that that culture thrives here, and it's that responsibility that we give people as well, so that they feel like they want to do a good job whilst they're here, because they do enjoy it, they do get rewarded, and we're dealing with people's happiest days. It's a lovely thing that we're involved in.
I mean, it's one business. I've had lots of businesses, and we have other businesses outside of this one that you run, and they are not the most happiest businesses in the world. Construction that we do, or we're doing, tenancies where we're doing big factories that we rent out and stuff like that. It's not very sort of sexy stuff. No. Where here, it's all to do with on point. There's only one day to get it right. There's quite a lot of pressure.
There's a huge amount
to make sure that it's right. And we've taken steps to make sure that there are firsts, seconds, and thirds of staff members that can always pick up. If we lost some people to the flu or something, we know that we could cover that. Kelly, what's been the most scariest moment? What's been the most sort of moment whilst you've been sort of working with me and working at the wedding venue?
I would say probably COVID was the scariest time, because that was at the time it happened, we'd literally just got all the house finished. It was ready to go. It was looking beautiful. Yeah. And then we had to shut the door. Yeah. And it was that unknown of whether weddings were going to come back, whether, what it was going to look like. That was incredibly scary.
Right down to whether anybody had a job. Yeah. It was kind of that. Well, we didn't really know what was going on. I think the scariest moment for me was being told to go home and being told that that's what I had to do. talking about this period you're saying about COVID, no one's ever done that to me before.
Yeah,
no one's ever told me that you can't do this, that, and the other. And that restriction, because in the end, we ended up, if you remember, I came here, we locked the gates, and I lived here with 3 or 4 other tradesmen that came in, and we took the whole roof off the house, didn't we? And we put another 6 bedrooms.
I think when I came back in after that, it was like, remember walking around the garden, looking up, and I was like, wow, that wasn't there however long ago.
Yeah. And the weather was just happened to be really
amazing,
good. And we took
it?
the whole roof of the house off. And, these were plans that we had. And in hindsight, I don't know when we would have ever found the time to have done that once the business was running, because, you can only do sort of remedial maintenance, on Monday and Tuesday. Then there's another wedding. So it kind of worked for us to do that. Where do you find the most pressure with running it? Because you don't only just do, you're doing staffing, you're doing health and safety, HR, you're doing all the management that drops down for the roles. Yeah. And what is the tough bits of it? Where is it?
I guess it is the legislation and the red tape of it. So there's so much that you've got to think about, like in the kitchens, you've got your food hygiene rating, you've got your health and safety, you've got insurances, you've got all of the HR aspects in terms of staff, which is massive, that you're ticking all the boxes and doing the right thing by all your staff. So juggling all of that, I'd say, is, that's if there was something stressful, that would be it. I think
that's the bit that I've enjoyed having you around, is because these things come up we have a meeting every week, and I attend when I'm here, and you will commonly say, well, listen, let me look at that in a bit more detail, because we were using someone a third party to do health and safety. You looked at it wasn't very good what they were doing, so you looked at it. Now we've brought that in house by utilising something that we were already paying for, weren't we? It was a BrightBiz product, the software, and you've joined all that up. And I think that's the bit I like to do each year with you is ask you what courses you're going on, because I give you the remit to go and put yourself on different courses and find out stuff. This year's got to be something to do with AI. We're going to have to throw you in the lion's den on AI.
But that's the way the business is progressing, and it's moving, and you need to be one step ahead of this. This is how our couples they're using AI in their everyday lives. We need to be on top of that as well.
Yeah, and we're very fortunate that one of our tenants, Jenny's company, what are Jenny's company called?
Be Inspired.
Be Inspired. So they do the socials, and you work very tight with them. They're a great bunch. And no one's over about 23,
they keep me young. I can just listen to what they're doing.
They're just all hip and groovy. They do all the trends,
what are you wearing?
That's it, they're good, aren't they? They're good fun.
Yeah.
And our buyer is a Gen Z buyer, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that is the key, actually, to a lot of this, is not thinking that you can do everything. It is outsourcing and finding the right people. So with the HR stuff, get a good system in place. I mean, very early on, we got the CRM system in place for our bookings, and that sees an inquiry right through from inquiry, booking, out the other side when they get the survey, when they leave. And I think it's been sourcing and finding all that stuff. It takes a long time to put it in place, but once it's in place, it works really well,
and it makes it very easy for us to run it and view it and marshal it, but it also makes us look super professional, because the terms and conditions get forwarded to them. They can electric sign and send back. Everything happens with that system, and it's a good system. And we actually got him to come, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And we got, what was his name?
Eamon.
Eamon came all the way from Ireland, so he came and met us.
Yeah.
And he worked with us to add on bits and pieces that we might need. And I put it, I was talking about this on one of my posts the other day. The meet and greet that we do at Baddow Park House, I don't care whether it's the postman, the window cleaner, whatever, they all get the same welcome. Yeah. We don't know who they know.
Yeah.
They will take away from this venue a great story of happy people, hardworking, that are very friendly, and we know now, Kelly. We were hesitant to say it, say 3 or 4 years ago, but 2 or 3 years ago, we know we are one of the best wedding venues in Essex. And we absolutely are. And we keep our blinkers on, we keep in our lane, and we do it the way we do it. And I think the only way that we can do that sometimes is that I'm not looking to drag a load of profit out of it every month or week, because I work off my other businesses. And being an owner allows us to have the freedom to be able to make sure we are producing that service and we have got the right people in the right position with the right wages. You know, we definitely pay over the odds on our wages, but we make sure we get really good team players. You have the task of finding those people and, you know, making those big decisions. You know, we've kissed a few frogs, on the way.
We've not done badly.
No, we've not done bad, have we? No.
I think yesterday I've had a real light bulb moment in terms of, you know, working here and the progress that we've made. 'Cause I think sometimes when you're so busy, you just keep your head down, you keep going. And I think yesterday I actually sat back and looked at everything that we'd achieved, and it was massive. And when the couples come in, they all said the same thing, and this is a recurring thing I've heard over the last few weeks. You can be bothered.
Yeah.
You can be bothered. And what we're looking at out there, you know, you've bothered to put the people out to do the meet and greet at the front. You've bothered to keep, you know, the upkeep of the house, keep painting. There's not all the bit of wallpapers coming down there.
Yeah.
It's that side of it that couples that are coming in now are more savvy with stuff like that. They know that stuff. They're looking for that sort of stuff. They're not going to be just, you know, fobbed off with second best.
And it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
We are on the upper end of where that market is. I mean, Essex writes the most certificates for being married in the whole country. It is the biggest registrar department. I mean, the thing that interests me when I look at how it works is that the virus and the chitter chatter that goes out from the venue is everything, because it is our whole standard is being spoke about, not just from us, but it's from people that have experienced it.
Yeah.
And I laid this story out to Kelly and the rest of the team in the early days that what was my goal. And my goal was that I'm somewhere in London and I'm sat next to someone that I don't know at a dinner, and they start telling me the story about their year, and they've just recently had their daughter get married at this fabulous wedding venue in Essex, blah, blah, blah. And he tells me the story of how fantastic it all was and how brilliant it was. And then I'm able to say, when he finishes all of his lovely story to me, to say, well, actually, I'm the owner of that.
Yeah.
And that was the exhilaration moment and the proudness of having that under my belt and in my portfolio. And, you know, me talking to you today is just a chance to say thank you, because it isn't me that's done that. I've provided the money and the sort of the vision of it, but it's you as my sort of second in command from me that actually is the managing director of the business that's made that happen, because you're there every day. I'm here with, you know, I might be doing a new project and I'll oversee that with you, but it's the day to day, and it's that foot soldier work of what you've just said then, being bothered to make sure everything is on point every day.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
And for us, we have to do it, because there's no, here's a voucher, come back next week. Sorry, it wasn't, you know, up to standard or whatever. What's been the moment that you've really enjoyed? What's been one of the sort of highs of working at Baddow?
It sounds like a really stupid thing to say, but when you think about our Christmas party this year, we've gone from a Christmas party of me, you and Christina probably going to the pub one lunchtime, the three of us. This year we've got 25 people coming to the Christmas do. Yeah. And for me, that really does show the growth of the team and everything, the business. Yeah. It's amazing.
This is what I love about it, and having the podcast on today with you here, it gives me an opportunity to say it publicly that, you know, I love to see the growth that you've had with the business and working with me. But, you know, when we first met, and you alluded to it earlier in the conversation, like, you were sick. Yeah. You'd gone through breast cancer in a very aggressive way, and you'd had to have surgery and all the things that you'd gone through. And I think that the bit I like is that you've been able to forge a brand new sort of very responsible career with me in the wedding venue. That I think that there is that whole sort of, you know, sliding doors. It kind of was that, and I'm very proud that I was able to give you the opportunity, but you also be able to step up to the mark and do it. So we do that bit of back rubbing publicly, because I think it is the real. That's really, guys, what it's about. You know, it's about making things happen for other people. It's not all about the money.
No,
you know?
And I think I said to you very early on in our conversations, if I'm going to do a job that takes me away from my family, then I'm doing it properly, and it's got to be something that I enjoy doing, because that was a very sort of precious time for me. And I was still going through chemotherapy. And I think that was one of the reasons why I was hesitant to come over, was that I still had some surgery to go through. And you said, don't worry, we'll pay you, we'll look after you, do whatever. So had to go through that. But that bit was really important to me, that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it properly. And I'd always felt, I'd worked for the bank, I'd had a really good career with the bank, but I never really felt fulfilled with it. It just didn't tick the boxes. And this is actually a conversation I had with my husband last night. And we were talking about how fortuitous it is that I came in, and he said, maybe, the reason you got ill is how you've ended up what you're doing today. And I think that's the only way that you can look at it, with that positivity. That
to frame it, to frame it in that way. I mean, and the journey of what you're going to do, and this podcast is, entrepreneurs conversations. For me as the entrepreneur behind it, you cannot be an entrepreneur, Kelly, without having people that are actually going to fulfill what your dreams are, and that's where you step in as number two. You looked at Steve Jobs, and he had that team that was running everything behind him, and you look at all these different big companies. Their number twos are actually what makes the whole thing work and take that day-to-day grind out of it. And I think that's what I see in you, and I see what I see in you more than anything is I see the steadiness where we could all throw the toys out the pram and get upset and stuff. And you're very good at being calm with things, like a swan sometimes. I'm sure it's all going on underneath, but you are good at saying, well, okay, why don't we just leave it for a minute? There might have been a problem with a price structure on something like that. We'll come back to that in a few days. Yeah. And it never seems that bad once you've given it some time to rest, if you like, Yeah. When we look at other venues, and we do occasionally, we get secret shopped. That's hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is hilarious, isn't it?
It is,
and it takes about 3 seconds, doesn't it?
Yeah, we can normally tell. And one of them was someone I know's son turned up, so I absolutely knew he wasn't getting married. And he went like purple when he got to the front door, and he realised it was me that was doing the viewing. So that was quite funny.
So what did you do?
He didn't want to give away that he wasn't getting married, so I just played the game with him. And
did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. And I said, I've seen your mum at the weekend, so I'll speak to her then.
Yeah. Oh, my God, okay. I invite you to have a look over my shoulder at my newsletter. If you want to hear about the things that grab my attention each week that could bring you value, sign up in the episode description. Now, back to the pod. I mean, you're very open, and if someone has asked us some questions, you're very open, aren't you? You've just given them the answers about what they might ask of us. Yeah. And I think if people do want to, come and see us, whatever, come on down, speak to Kelly if she has time. Let me tell you that, because she's a very busy person. But I think that the future is bright for the business.
Absolutely.
It has taken a long time. You can't make a wedding venue in 3 years. It just doesn't work. It is 5, isn't it? It definitely is 5. What I like about the business is what you just alluded to there, is the predictability of it. So you can see exactly how many bottles of whatever you need, how much food you need, how many staff you need. It's written there. You can see it. Very few weddings cancel. We've had the odd one or two. There's been some real disasters with people being sick or whatever, but that they're very rare, aren't they? It's not a thing that you see much of. So the book is quite strong. That's what I mean by that. The book is strong, and we've also tweaked that a little bit as well, where it hasn't in the past. We've had some flat months where we haven't had anything. We've tweaked pricing to fill it up. Fill it up, and next year our season kicks off in February. And it goes all the way through the year, so we've got a really good, consistent year next year. I'm very pleased with the standards that we've created, and the model and the modelling. And I talk about this on the socials and with consultancy. But to get that model right, it's not easy. No, I mean it's small 0.5% changes that you've made. You've tweaked things. You said, well, no, actually, we're going to hide that in the food cost, because if we do it as a separate cost, it's too spiteful, or it's too spiky for them to digest when you're trying to get people to come in. We know that you come in at a price point, and we know after 18 months of being around us, you end up buying a lot more stuff off of us, because you end up buying a champagne tower, or you end up buying a late leave for an hour into the evening for a late license, or whatever it might be. That just happens, the nature of what happens, isn't it? You've got to find that price point that people find palatable to sign on the line. Yeah.
And then after that, once everything's settled down and they've adjusted their budgets and they know where they are, then they'll upgrade when they, that's the point of our open days that we hold as well. The couples that have booked come back and they can see the different bits and pieces that they can add on. But it's not a sales tool. It's not imperative that you have to have this stuff. It's just,
But we find as well that I mean, on a very regular basis, that they come in with their budget. As soon as they've picked the venue and it's all a done deal and there's a wedding happening, mum and dad come in and pay for the bar. Yeah. Or Nan gives them the £10,000 now that they were going to have when she passes away. And all this happens at that point of once they are settled. And I've watched you when you've worked with couples and they sign, it's like a weight has been lifted off their shoulders. You can see that they're just chilled out because they've finally made the decision and committed. And you get couples, they've looked at every wedding venue, can't they? I mean, it's just they're trawling around the place, aren't they?
Yeah, usually by that point, the groom's looking a little bit, you know, he's had enough at that point, just wants to settle on somewhere.
The groom we've worked hard on the groom, haven't we? We worked hard because the groom didn't have a voice. And what we've done, and it was your idea, the salon where we're sitting now was your idea. It was you said that we definitely needed this place for people to come the night before. Yeah. And that's been like a mega success. And we've made it into this very luxurious place for them to hang out, and you came up with this, I think, about 3 years ago, and I said, "Okay, what's the budget?" There's these great big numbers with noughts on the end, and we've kind of done it. I wish we'd done it earlier.
Yes,
but it is made that we've made a groom's room, so we've made the yin and the yang of this. This is the salon to the cabin, and the cabin has just been a mega success, isn't it?
It has.
They come the night before, don't they?
Yeah, it works really well. So we let our couples come in. They get an hour drop-off slot the day before. That works really well because you can just see. It's a bit like when you go to the airport and you leave your cases there. The stress is just you've gone. You've left everything there, and then we've just created spaces for both of the bridal parties to just enjoy the build up, enjoy the night before and take the stress out of it. But the cabin was a great addition because it just, like you said, it gave the grooms a voice. And also when it came to making that decision, I think it made it easier that they had
because we really think it has helped sell weddings, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That he's had a voice and he's been able to say, no, well, you can have the salon, I'll have the cabin, why don't we just do it here? And we're all in the same place, but apart from one another. And I think that what you said there about the stress of it, we see couples come here and they're trying to get here at like 6 o'clock in the morning to start getting ready. Yeah. That's so stressful. Yeah. Got to get up, get all the clobber here, get everything here, get their makeup artist to come early or the hairdresser to do their hair. Where if they're here the night before, they can get those people to come in at a reasonable time and they're all settled and calm. And it's the one thing that we say to our guests here is to try and slow the day down. Yeah. Because it just goes with the blink of an eye, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's why we've tried to make it into this 3-day celebration instead of just that 1 day in and out. So you can add on the bit beforehand. You can stay with us the day before. You have your day. You're all staying over. Enjoy the fire pit in the evening after everyone else has gone home. The guests that are staying over enjoy the house. And then the day after, have a lazy leave. Add some time on and have a brunch with your family. Have a roast dinner before you go.
I will commonly when I'm away and I'm away abroad quite a lot, I'll put on the camera that's in the main orangery to see how things are going at 10 o'clock at night. It is hilarious. Yeah. You turn the camera on and there's like 2 kids spinning around in the front of the DJ and everyone's having a coffee and they're all having a catch up because they haven't seen each other for months or whatever, or years, whatever it is. And then the next week you turn it on, people are standing on chairs and tables. Yeah. It's like napkins, a rave going on. Yeah. And there's coloured streamers and lights and everything. It is, we do try to let them do what they want to do within reason, to have their party their way, don't we?
Yeah, that was some feedback that I'd had recently on a private viewing. They'd been to another local wedding venue and she said, everything I asked, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that. Yeah. We never say no, within reason, we never say no. And if we do say no, we've got a very good reason why we're saying no.
Something health and safety,
no bouncy castles.
Set the alarms off or something,
Yeah. And I think that is the difference that, we are... Couples nowadays, they spend a long time planning their weddings. They use Pinterest, they use Instagram. There's a lot more that goes into it. And I think we're able to facilitate that because we give them that flexibility. So.
Yeah. And we've had some real, they've come and had themed weddings with Harry Potter theme, I think was once, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we've had llamas. We
had
it,
bloody llamas.
Yeah.
We had the dog that had the rings tied around its neck with ribbon and then promptly went off and the ribbon undone itself. We lost the rings.
Yeah, that was with a cockapoo. You should never,
never do that. And then we found the rings within sort of like 4 minutes before the ceremony. So we don't do rings around dogs anymore. We just pretend they're around and do a bit of sleight of hand.
That's the only time I've ever seen Gaynor stressed. Gaynor doesn't stress about anything ever, and that was the only time we were ready to sort of.
And Gaynor runs all our planning and stuff like that, doesn't she? She does all that, and she's very experienced. And you brought her in from another venue chain, and she's a big asset to us. And we've got Kylie now as well. Yeah, Kylie. She's very experienced as well. Yeah. I think that's this whole thing about having the right people in the right chair for the job. It is imperative that we have the people with this proper experience. I mean, we bring other people up through the ranks, but you can't chance this, can you? It's got to be on the day.
And I think anything can happen on a wedding day. Yes. So you do really need someone who is experienced that could handle the stress of anything.
I wouldn't want to be on the back of Gaynor if you upset Gaynor on a wedding day. I've seen a band just dump their van outside the wedding venue and they want to do photo shoots. And she has gone along and got them by the scruff of their neck and got them to move the van after asking them politely 3 times. And that's the end of them. So she looks after the day very, very well. So I'm very pleased to see that. I mean, Kelly, listening and watching, it's this big, what a lovely story of Baddow Park and James Martin as the owner and you as the director. This is not for the faint-hearted, is it?
Absolutely not.
It's not, is it, baby?
No, it's not.
It's hard work, isn't it?
I think at the beginning there was I was quite worried about what I'd signed myself up to and the gravity of it all. Everybody's wedding days resting on your shoulders. It's not for the faint-hearted. I think I still wake up in a cold sweat worrying that I've double booked someone's dates. It still to this day terrifies me. We have got lots of fail safes so that doesn't happen, but even so,
but it is the bit that and I said this earlier in the pod today, the bit that I love about it is that to see you as somebody that I've put a lot of trust into grow into the position, and it, people watching and listening, it's just not. You need your Kelly Sinnotts around you to make the thing happen, because with all the will in the world and all the enthusiasm, that's not enough. It's about turning up every Monday, going through the stuff, going through your lists, making sure everybody knows what they're doing, everybody's got their place, everybody knows exactly what the month ahead is, what we've got enough staff, and you very, with your systems and processes that you've built for yourself over the period, you have kind of got that down. And then what I also like is that you've copied my lead and you give the lead to others to run their departments without you standing behind them with a stick. No one wants to do that. We just want to give you your responsibility to get on with it. Yeah. We'll have a review and we'll check the department. We run all our bars and stuff in-house. Well, Angela runs that and she does a very good job of it. And we leave her to get on with it. And every now and again we have to tweak it and make sure it is running right and do a review and check the staffing levels and stuff like that. But it's been able to give enough people a chance to have a mini failure. Yeah. We don't want a big failure because of the nature of the business, but we'll let you have a mini failure and a trip up and a hiccup, and we've kind of learnt to do that together, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. It's a skill set of mentality to allow it to happen. Otherwise, you're just a micromanager, and that's no good to anybody because no one grows, do they?
No, I mean, I've worked in the bank for a long time beforehand, and micromanaging was probably one of their key ways of managing staff, and it doesn't work. No. I don't think that's a good way to get the best out of people. I think that's where you get all of the mis-selling and the bad things that go with it. Yeah. We don't do any commission for people that sell weddings here. No. We don't do anything like that. We don't encourage that behaviour. We just give people that autonomy. Is that the right word?
Yeah, the autonomy.
We give them the autonomy to do their role, do it well, and
we do publish that in our WhatsApp group. When we make a sale, we show that all of the staff, and we congratulate all the staff we have made this sale. It's not about whoever was there on the day doing the show round. It's about You see, I said this to you the other week in a meeting that when someone goes away from this wedding venue and on Tuesday they meet one of their colleagues and they say, "Oh, hi, yeah, you went to a wedding at the weekend. How was it?" And I've told this story a few times. I want that person to say, "Oh no, it was great. It was absolutely brilliant." I don't want them to say, "Oh, it was really good, but the staff were really miserable. Oh, it was fantastic, but the food was horrible. Oh, it was great, but you couldn't get a drink. Oh, it was great, but there was no one there to meet you. We didn't know where to park." I just want them to say, "It was just fantastic. It was great." So they have an immersed experience of everything was on point, and there's nothing to be highlighted or poked on. It was just a fabulous experience.
Yeah, what was great about it? I can't tell you everything.
No, everything was great. Yeah, and that's what we do. And we really go into the detail from looking at, to. I mean, yesterday we put the fire burners at the front of the door. It was chilly yesterday. We thought we would bring that on for the winter welcome. You got two of these lovely sort of outside fire burners right at the front door. That is all part of it. It's that's what I was going to say, Kelly. It's those first impressions that we've worked on tirelessly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to that being bothered. What people have said, it's being bothered. And the fact that we don't charge extra for those things because it's the right thing to do to have the patio heaters on your wedding day. So we don't charge extra. It's just all part of the atmospherics of it all.
That's it. And they've come to a place of a standard. And that's what we were trying to create, definitely. Yeah. Kelly, as always, I always enjoy having conversations with you because we have for the last 6 years. But thank you. And I know you were very busy yesterday, and you've sort of come in today just to do this for me today. And by the tweaks and things that are going on in your phone, you've got a lot of stuff to go off and do.
Can I get back and book some weddings now?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. If you've enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, leave a comment. There's someone you know that could gain something from what we do here. Pass the pod. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you on the next one.